Hi, my name is Caleb Somtochukwu Okereke, and I'm the managing editor at Minority Africa.
I'm Patricia Kisesi, editorial assistant, Minority Africa.
My name is Cynthia Tumukunde Habimana, and I'm the social producer, Minority Africa.
My name is Monge Silas, and I'm the mobile journalism editor at Minority Africa.
So when we sort of actually like applied for AKU, I wouldn't say coincidentally, but it was a very last minute thing. Number one, not that we didn't know we were going to apply, we just we're very like terrified of like applications of having to write like lines upon lines upon lines. So we kept putting off like doing it for the longest time. I knew about the Media and Innovation Center at AKU earlier in 2020, sometime during the pandemic, when I was sent a link to attend one of the trainings, which I then attended. And I remember that they were speaking so much about media viability and how you can keep your media platform sustainable. And at the time, like all of these concepts were foreign to me. Not viability in the sense, but like how to keep it viable, right? There were so many things they spoke about, raising investment that I hadn't prior like thought about before. And which is also something that like when I started Minority Africa, it was primarily just from a sense of like there are stories I want to tell. I didn't care about business or media or having a company. I just wanted to tell stories, and I wanted the platform to be able to do it. It was like a bigger version of a blog, like in a sense. Just that it wasn't going to be my voice alone. So I think that we attended those trainings by AKU. I think there were about 3 of them before the grant call was put out. And then when we applied for the grant, it was very last minute. Like I said, I did it on the very last day. I asked them, we were like, "Oh, help me answer these questions." We put them together, and then we submitted. And so I was actually very pleasantly surprised when we got to like top 30. I was like, okay, so that means we must have done something right. And I think that when you apply for so many things, it becomes difficult for you to tell which is going to work and which will not work. You just like throwing your eggs in many baskets. But yeah, so we got to top 30, top 15, and then we had to pitch at the top 5 stage, which I think was the scariest part. I don't like near misses, so I practically am very scared of like getting near somewhere and not getting through the door, because I feel like I would just rather have not gotten there at all. But we did have to pitch before like a panel of 20 judges or so, and I think that was a very, very, very scary part for me. I just assumed that like I really did, and I genuinely meant that I really appreciated the process of having to, because it made us think of so many things where we had to do a deck in a few days. We had to do like a whole presentation and like present and defend our idea to the public. And I think what that does for you is when you've sort of thought that you have everything about an idea figured out, when you have to think about it critically and from the point of view of knowing that it will be subject to analysis, it sort of helps you figure out loopholes that you never have seen before in your idea. So we had to do all of this in those few days, and then we had to pitch. And when I pitched, I was in Kampala. I remember that I pitched, and then in fact the very day I was pitching, it was like almost like election time. So there was some shooting near my house, and I had to like duck and like move my table before the interview so I don't get killed by a bullet midway. And then we did pitch, and we like they just told us thank you for pitching, and we're told we hear back on a certain date. Now on this certain date we're supposed to hear back, I was traveling to Lagos and I was on a plane. So I assumed that by the time I landed I would have gotten an email or something. So as soon as I landed, I like booked up my phone to check. Surprisingly, for the first time the Wi-Fi at the airport in Lagos worked for the first time in my life, and then I was really happy. I was like, oh, okay. And then I didn't see an email, so I was like, so we didn't get it. I was like, okay, it's fine. So, but on the way I kept hoping maybe they're sending it late. It was like 6 p.m. Nigerian time at this time, so I knew it was maybe 4 p.m. in Kenya. I was like, okay, maybe they will send the information late. And then nothing, not that day, not the next day, the day after. And so when we got an email later saying that we had to attend a phone call for them to announce the winners, I automatically assumed that we had lost, right? Because I felt like they had already like pre-informed the winners on Monday, and we're just being called to be guests at an event. So I did attend. I was on my way to a wedding. I was in the car with my brother, and I attended. And then I remember that when they announced Minority Africa, I was in a floor station. I think that's the video that AKU still has, and I was screaming, and the attendants were wondering like, why are you screaming? But I was just screaming like, ah. And then I was like, that's us, that's Minority, that's us. And I think that what it meant for me was that that someone like believed in what we were doing, even beyond it, just to believe in it enough to actually say that I want to make you a winner for a whole like country is something that really, really, really moved me. I think Cyrus can also share what he felt.
It was quite interesting that on the day of announcement, I never attended all the calls, especially calls with AKU. But Caleb used to share updates that at least we have gone through the past 30, we are now at top 15, top 5, and I say, top 5, I think we shall get this thing. So we had previously had conversations around in 2019 looking for an office in Kampala. So we thought about having an office maybe in the central business district. Then I told Caleb, but there is this Innovators-in-Residence program. We could apply and be part of it, even if we don't win. But at least we would have tried our luck. So the day he told me you were in top 5, I said, I think if it's top 5 and there are 3 East African countries, I think we are winning in Kampala. So I was actually surprised. I was actually on my phone just browsing through Twitter. Then I saw a notification from AKU and they were announcing the winners. So I felt like I shouldn't open the tweet because we would be disappointed. So, okay, I first click on the first photo and it's the team from Kenya. Immediately I slid to the second photo. I knew I had won. It was so I was so excited that I was even forced to call Kelly. Like I never called him before. So I told him, have you seen this tweet? And he was like, then the next thing I scroll through the photos, then they are like a screen grab of the Zoom call and Kelly is celebrating already. In a car there, I was like, but this guy has just left Kampala this week. Now he's celebrating. So it was quite a great moment to see that something that I'd always been part of. So my story of Minority Africa and Caleb. So Caleb walks to me at campus and tells me there is something I'm working on and I would like you to share a CV with me. So say, okay, I'll send you a CV. So I took some days off and I never sent the CV. So the last day he was applying for something. He told me, but I told you to send your CV, but you didn't send. I told him, okay, let me send. So later on I got to learn that he was actually starting up his own media platform. I was like, okay, let's see how it runs. Then I decided to follow up on the stories he was doing for all these big media houses. Then said, okay, I think we could also do stories of a similar fashion, but in the solutions focused angle, whereby we document more of the working solution other than just putting the story out there that there is this person doing this, but is it a viable solution that can be followed up? So I told him maybe we shouldn't compete with the big media houses, but we could do more feature stories, we go deep. Then the next thing I'm learning of, he has already created a website and we are doing a photo shoot. Then we are Minority Africa now. So in the long run, I just recall all those moments. Caleb would just walk to you and say, I'm working on this story, but I think we should also have it on our platform. Then I tell him, no, but you have already pitched it on the other side. Then says, okay, let me publish it. Decide I won't publish it on our platform. But now that we are here at the Media Hub as the Innovators-in-Residence winners, I think we shall have a better position to pitch all these stories around solutions journalism and document those working solutions of minority communities and minorities in Kampala and Uganda at large.
During the application process, I remember a particular incident when Caleb was rehearsing for the final pitch. As he was going through the rehearsing the words, trying to correct here and there, trying to consult with the other members of the team. The way he was nervous, I was also nervous, but because he was the one going to do the pitch, I had to pretend like I was stronger. But so I think the one thing I took away from the whole application process is if you're passionate about something, you're ready to go the whole way, even when you think there's a possibility you could fail. But because of this passion, there's something driving you to reach the finish line, you always move forward. Yes, that's the one thing that I took away from the whole application process, and that it's important for us to withstand pressure, because if we couldn't, then I don't think we'd have reached where we reached.